I want to talk about the process of getting rich sucking. Yes, folks, it sucks. It's hard. It's painful. There are lots of twists and turns, thorns, piles of stuff in the ground. It is not necessarily an easy journey. And I thought I would have this conversation with someone who's been on this journey and has completed it. He's just retired as of tomorrow, I think.
Yes.
The one and only Matt, the lumberjack landlord. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, it is. Tomorrow's the last day of logging into an email. Tomorrow's the last day of not owning my own calendar.
Ooh.
So yeah, it's exciting, but yeah, I mean, very often, and I think you see it a lot on your videos too, where you post and just talking about, being a landlord and what we do. And one of the challenging things is that a lot of people, especially on shorts, right? People post all over the place and they're just like, get a real job. You're a leech. You suck. You're a parasite. You're the one that's screwing up housing, all this other stuff, the silliness and the nonsense because they don't understand simple economic theory. But I think the challenge is that it sucks, not just from the detractors or that, but it sucks because how many people watch our stuff that still are in a W-2 job, 9 to 5 every single day. And that this is how they get to spend their free time.
Mhm.
Right. And so it's really an investment in yourself, but getting rich, man, it sucks. It sucks. The journey sucks, but you have to embrace it because otherwise you won't get there. You just won't get there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of sayings that sometimes when I see them, I kind of chuckle, but they're also extremely valid and true. And, you know, getting rich sucks, but life can suck, right? I mean, choose
Yeah.
your hard, right? Getting
Yeah.
rich is hard, but, working a W-2 is hard. Right? The one thing that I remember early in the journey, I don't know about you, but, I always thought $1 million was rich, right?
Yeah.
That's
Sure.
just, that's,
Agreed.
when I was growing up, Gen X, $1 million was the number, right? And I got to tell you, I I probably said it, but I don't know that I believed it
Hmm.
that I would get there, right? I had nobody in my circle, my family, that was a millionaire. I
Yeah.
didn't know. I don't think I knew anybody that was worth $500,000.
Yep.
Uh, Money wasn't talked about, so it was always kind of that, you know, maybe fake it till you make it or say it out loud. But I don't know that I really believed it was possible. And one of the
Agreed.
things I had to do is I had to change my circle,
Yes.
right? And I don't think enough people realize that your circle is it's holding you back. It's a limiting belief.
Hmm.
You really are back to that, choose your hard kind of idea, but you really are the collection of your five closest friends.
Hmm.
And I said this yesterday when somebody was interviewing me. It's like, you don't understand. My circle of friends entirely changed after I left my W-2. Again, right? I'm constantly evolving who I let in around me.
Sure.
And I think there's a lot of people in the beginning, they're not getting new friends. You need new friends. You need a new circle. What do you think?
100% agree. That was the biggest mistake I made was not having that evolve. I think that because I'm, thick-headed, difficult, abrasive are, probably the three top words to
You're a
describe
teddy bear, man. Come
for people that I like. Yeah, for people
on.
that I like, I'll do anything for you. For people that are, not there yet with me or just general passerby,
Yeah.
quite frankly, I'm cordial, but if you're rude to me, then yeah, you're gonna find out.
I tried.
Yeah, you're gonna find out real quick. But I think, for me, that was the biggest mistake I made, I think, was um because I'm broken,
Mhm.
because I'm really driven, because I love the power of the word no. People for nonstop my entire life, it's been no.
Hmm.
It was you're not going to be anything because you're a ninth grade dropout. You're never going to get a
Right.
job because you're a ninth grade dropout. You're never going to get promoted because you don't have a college education. You're never
Hmm.
going to get that executive position because you don't have an MBA. Well, you guys can all suck it because I've had all of them,
Right.
and I was elite at all of them. And here's the thing: that chip on my shoulder served me well. Works great in the real world, doesn't work very well in marriage.
Mm-mm.
And so that's why there's two different me's. But I think to your point though, changing that circle of friends, I fully expect my circle, the three out of the five people that I talk to the most every single day are now going to change.
Yeah.
My life is
I
going to change, completely
yeah.
change. But
And that's okay.
it is okay. I think that was the problem for me is I don't love change, right? I don't
Yeah.
love change. And so it's weird being an entrepreneur and not liking change. Like that's why I'm so broken. I'm just, like I'm a walking riddle, but I don't like change, but at the same time too, I recognize when it's needed. And so to your point of that circle of friends, I didn't have any friends that were real estate investors. I didn't have any friends that could understand getting that, 9 p.m. phone call. I didn't have any friends that understood. I would get my balls busted by my family about
Yeah.
having to leave another event because something happened with a tenant. Well, I was broke. I couldn't afford $125 an hour plumber. I couldn't afford that. I had to go
Right.
do it myself. And so it does a couple things for you. It does make you more self-reliant.
Mhm.
It does give you courage to try more and to expand your horizons. But it also, if you're not careful, can harden you. You
Mm.
know, so it's good to be battle tested. It's good to be battle hard, but you can't be like that with everything and with everyone and all the time.
Yeah.
And so that's definitely part of the sucking is some people need a little bit of hardness in their life, and
Mhm.
some people, that's what's going to turn them away from it and have them go, I just don't want to be that person. Because
Right.
how many landlords did you see? You saw it with your first experience. Dion saw it with his. I
Mhm.
saw it with two out of my first six.
Yep.
They just stopped paying.
Mhm.
And what do? You're not like filing paperwork on the fifth day like you would now,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
You're trying to work it out. Hey, I just want to work this out with you. Like, let's try and meet. Let's try and find something that works for both of us. And then you realize it's the big old middle finger. They don't want to work it out with you. They're just going to squeeze you. That's all
Yeah.
because they don't think what you do is important.
Yeah, I think I mean, I don't when I started on this journey and we had one or two homes, and I think I've said this before, my vision was four,
Yeah.
right? Maybe five.
Yep. Yeah.
I I could not think bigger than that.
Yep.
And as I sit here right now having this conversation with you, both of us have over 100 doors. I wonder, I actually wonder if it was a good thing because four or five always seemed achievable. I wonder if I was sitting there with Norris Drive and Ferris and Terrace, these are just street names of my first couple of houses.
Mhm.
If my vision was 100 units, I don't know if I would have kept
I
going.
don't. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it never. Um, I don't think it's ever really that for guys with a W-2 first.
Okay.
I think it's that way for guys without the W-2s because they have to get the mass in order to
It
get
gets
the
scale.
income,
No.
right?
Okay.
They have to scale in order to get income. So for guys like us, good jobs, um, crazy commitment jobs,
Yes. Yeah.
high commitment jobs. When we look at that, I think
Short fuse. Can't do it forever.
yeah, well, that's exactly right. Like it's for those of you who don't know, high tech sales in the high tech industry, it's like dog years. Like
Oh
if
yeah.
you've put 20 years in, you're 140 years old
Yeah.
because you're living your life a quarter at a time. And if you miss
Yeah.
one quarter, you get put on a performance improvement plan. And then if you don't follow through on that quarter, then you're gone. So
Right.
you're never, no matter how much you're liked, no matter how good you are at what you do, you're never less than 6 months away from being gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thankfully, you and I both had amazing careers. I never got pipped, not in my
Mhm.
entire career. But at the same time, too, it was just like you want to reach that cruising altitude, right? Everything you're
Right.
trying to do is trying to reach that cruising altitude. And so as people are investing, I don't think anybody with a W-2 goes, I'm going to get to 100 doors. I really don't. I think
I
everybody with a
hope not.
W-2 looks at, no, because I think you're right. I think that would discourage a lot of people because they would see how hard the first five are. And then they're like, multiply
Exactly.
that times
Oh,
20. And you're like,
yeah.
kill me now.
Yeah. No thanks. I'll go back and put in my 401k. I'm good.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I think you're exactly right. I think that, in the very beginning, I was never thinking 100 doors. I was just thinking I need to make sure I have some sort of a plan because at 65,
Yeah.
will retirement be there for me?
That was my vision. It's like I want to make 65 better.
Yep.
I want to have more options at 65. In fact, I'll go as far as to admit I wanted to have the best retirement of my entire family at 65. That was
Absolutely.
that was the goal, right? Um, and I really do think that having that goal of 4 or 5 really made 100 possible, if that makes sense.
No,
Because it was
absolutely.
always one more deal. There was always one
Yeah.
more, one more, one more.
Right. And it was
Yeah.
and the other thing too is like you see too, right? Like when do guys in our industries in high tech, when do we start to really get paid? In our 40s,
Yeah. Yeah, for
right?
sure.
You
You're
make
cutting your
good, you
teeth,
make
inside sales,
exactly.
engineer,
You
whatever.
make
You
okay,
get a
you're
shot.
making,
Yeah.
yeah, you're making okay money in your 20s, you're making pretty good money in your 30s. But when you start to hit 40, like that's when everything accelerates and you start adding not additions, but multiplications.
Right.
It's multiple value of income. And so that's what happened. It was the same thing for me. And then the toughest thing about retiring for me was, man alive, I've spent 26 years building relationships, building skills, learning markets, learning products, where I'm so dialed in that I will forget more about what I do in the industry than most other people will ever learn. I was a top 5 voice in what I did, spoke on national panels. None so as exciting as our event as your event this Sunday, where we'll
Thank
be on
you.
a panel again together. But I look at that and I just say, the toughest thing for me was after 25, 26 years of this, I'm giving up being elite at something to honestly never make an impact again in that world. Like I'm done in that.
Yeah. No, it's funny. So you planned your exit. Certainly better than I
Yes.
did, right? Certainly better.
Well, anybody that planned an exit on any level planned it better than you did.
Better than I did, yes. Wild, wild. But it was funny. It took me probably 45 days to really recognize
Yeah,
that I was never going to take a software product from 0 to 100 million. I did it 3 times. It's an exhilarating ride.
it is. It
My
is.
ego was wrapped up in it. I was highly rewarded, certainly by the time I did it a third time. And I had to give that up.
Yeah.
I really did have to. I had to like purposely go, I'm never going to do that again.
Mhm.
And I had to be okay with it.
Yeah.
That was probably some of my darkest days because I, again, didn't know what else to do.
I see that. I totally see that with where it is now for me today. There's still a part of me, even though I'm walking away tomorrow, that's sad. There's still a part of me
Yeah.
that's walking away tomorrow that's sad. And it's taking that product where, this was a product that I worked on for uh almost 2 decades of my life
Wow.
and did it with with owners that didn't want to invest in the product. My marketing budget was less than 1/10 of 1% of our revenue.
Oh, wow. That's not
Which
that's not good.
you can't grow it. You can't really
No.
grow it. And so, but for me, it was about the employees around us. It was about the thing that we were doing as a business, the impact that we were making in the healthcare community. That was really what was my driver. So it had to shift for what was the value of what I was doing. So the
Mhm.
challenging part is now it's more difficult to walk away because it felt more like a mission
Mm.
than it did an income.
And that's exactly where I had to go. I had to go find the next mission.
Yeah.
Hence what you and I now call one rental at a time. But let's go back to the journey sucking for folks because again, I want to talk about those early years because I see a lot of people in the comments, a lot of people in all of our networks taking those first couple of steps
Mhm.
and skinning their knees, getting, a cut finger or whatever it is. It's hard, right? I
Yeah.
had plenty of mistakes those first years. I ran numbers perhaps too rosy. Uh, I band-aided things versus replaced them, which always came back to bite me.
Mhm.
Uh, maybe didn't do inspections in the first couple of things that fit me. I see a lot of folks that are like that just need to be reminded. This is something I truly believe and see if what you think.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that getting rich sucks is I think it tries to kick you out the first 5 years. It's like, how committed are you? I'm going
Yes.
to try to trip you and push you and knock you
Mhm.
over. And oh, by the way, most people are going to fall for it and go, oh, not for me.
Mhm.
But some of us dust ourselves off, put a Band-Aid on, and just keep going. I mean, those first 5 years, I had all kinds of stumbles and issues and crap happen.
Yeah, 1,000% agree. There was very little fun about it in my first 5 years. Very little. I almost went bankrupt 3 times.
Yeah.
I'm a math guy. And so when I look at the balance sheet and I go, okay, $21,000 in the next 30 days is due, and I've got 6K of income. This is gonna be quite the trick. And it wasn't a bunch of fake things like minus depreciation or, these fake things. It was real dollars.
Right.
And so looking at it that way, it was like, okay, I mean, you get really creative, like opening up credit cards and opening up home equity lines. Like I did everything. What it does is it a lot of times forces you to become a survivor.
Yeah.
That almost kick out thing. I totally agree with you. You have to fight to survive, you
Yeah,
know?
you have to fight. Like, I really think it does. Like, I do think getting rich is a relatively simple process.
Mhm.
I didn't say it was easy. I said it
Right.
was simple, right?
Yeah,
The process of getting rich has been well documented for years, right? Live below your means,
sure.
become a lead at something, buy assets to produce cash flow, and hold for 10 years. The process is simple. It the game tries to trick you and punish you and bring new, I remember there were a couple people buying properties when I was in 2010, which was the best year in my market for 50 some years.
Mhm.
By 2011, they got cocky. They got
Yeah.
stupid. They
Yeah.
started borrowing all the equity. They started doing, second home nonsense, and they were forced sellers. And it's like, no, you don't deserve that. You don't win a marathon by running 18 miles.
Right.
Finish the damn thing.
Right.
And there's just so many. I see a lot of people get started. The first 5 miles kicks them out. Not for me. Blah blah blah. Then you get halfway, and then you stop. Then you get to the 20th mile, and you pick up a drug habit, or you get divorced, or just some other big right turn, and you fall off. It's like, man, you're almost there. So it never stops. And the other thing I was looking at, because I did a video about home prices, recessions, and unemployment. You and I's journey to getting rich, 3 recessions.
Yeah.
They're just part of it. I don't think,
And the worst one since the Great Depression, you might add.
yeah, yeah. The two of them, one of them was the V-shaped recovery, so we'll just write that one off. But the first two that we went through, they kicked our butts,
Dude, they
right?
were brutal.
The dot-com
Brutal.
one, I mean, bam.
Yeah,
So I
I
went,
mean,
I
you and I are
went from
both in
being
tech.
I went from an IPO, literally, dude. My company had filed to go public,
Oh,
and 9/11, the
oh
Great Recession, we were laying off 30% of our staff like within 30 days. We had to get the burn rate down. We were no
yeah.
longer an IPO candidate. It got pulled. And we were sold for parts like, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 months later. What I thought was going to be, you know, a $30, or at the time they were options. They weren't RSUs, they were options. I think it turned into like 77 cents. It's like,
Oh,
yeah, I'm glad I struggled for 5 years or whatever it was. It was
yeah.
crazy. Um,
And
but
and
recessions are part of the process too.
they are. I mean, but it's funny too, right? It's a cleansing of the system.
Mhm.
It's a cleansing of the system. It's the people that shouldn't have bought that get crushed. It's the people that don't have the wherewithal to stick. Like if you stick to almost anything for 20 years, right? But you
You
have to
like your
stick.
chances. You got to
Yeah,
say, yeah,
exactly. You got to stick.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so what's, the best assets that we have, right? Best meaning we can kind of do whatever we want because of a stable of assets.
Mhm.
And it's the ones that you own for 20 years that have almost no debt left on them, where you're getting ready to be like, I'm going to get a multi-million-dollar payday just by relevering these assets.
Yeah.
Like that's the stuff that I could honestly, that's the stuff I couldn't see.
Mhm.
I couldn't see
Yeah.
that back when I started. I, it was
Yeah.
like, so I just got a new credit report and it showed proportion of balances too high.
Hmm.
And the reason why was because I have 26 loans
Yeah.
that recast less than 2 years ago. But
Mhm.
that's when I refied everything and pulled out millions of dollars to go buy more.
Yeah. Yeah. And the debt's, for the large part, 30-year fixed, below 5.
It is
It's
30-year
like,
fixed and 4.
oh, there you go. I
30-year
like it.
fixed and 4. And it's like, and who wouldn't buy any house they saw now, even at these prices at a 4% rate?
Yeah.
Like everybody would.
Yeah. So again, the process of getting rich is simple. I think is pretty straightforward, but it
Straightforward.
just
Yeah.
it there'll be money things, there'll be people things, there'll be family things. And again, I go back to your friends, right? One of the things that I'm looking forward to this weekend, you brought it up, we're gonna be on stage together Sunday. Um, is there's gonna be a lot of great relationships made in that room. You've got to get around people that are doing it,
Oh, sure.
right? And it's funny, I don't know if you saw this, but I did a video in my gym just talking to my phone the other day, talking about 4 things, 4 negative things that happened. And I'll share them here just in case people didn't see them. But what the point is my mindset's entirely different. So I'll give you the 4 quickly.
Yeah.
I had to put a $35,000 roof on one of my buildings.
Oh,
I had a tenant ghost me. I had an insurance policy cancel. And I had a tenant who didn't pay rent for 9 months, got evicted, then called code enforcement on me. Right? So these 4 things all happened to me within the last 14 days. And all those things just said out loud scares people. And
sure.
frankly, the first time they happened to me, they probably scared me as well. But this is
Yes.
how I look at each of them now.
Yep.
That $35,000 roof, I've had budgeted for a long time. I bought the building in 06. It's now 2024. It wasn't a new roof when I bought it. So, hey, roofs go better. Budget for
That's
it. Have
that's
reserves.
beautiful. You got 18 years out of somebody else's roof.
Exactly. Right. So it came in about 5 grand more than I had thought when I put the money away. But hey, it's part of the process. I have an emergency reserve. It's all good. And now I have a new roof that will probably survive until I sell the building. Right.
Agreed.
You do them once.
Yep.
So that's that, right? Just having reserves. Don't go like if you're buying stuff and you have nothing left in the kitty, you're an idiot because stuff breaks.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the tenant ghosting. I probably in a go. What does a ghosting mean? That means no notice, no communication. They probably rent a U-Haul truck at night, fill it up, and just leave. No notice, no forwarding address, nothing. They ghost. So not good. Not going to bother trying to find them. It's not worth my time. I sent a team in to clean it. It was relatively okay. It was still like $2,500 for cleaning and all of that. And we're going to put a new tenant in, and the rent went up $100. I didn't
Back
give it
in
a
2 years.
moment's thought. Yeah,
Yep.
I would. What am I going to do? Sit here and skip trace and do all that stuff? No, it's like fine, whatever. If I really do believe in karma, right? If you want to do that, something's coming to you later. I'm going to deal with it and move on, get a new tenant. We had somebody in there within 14 days,
That's awesome.
maybe 15 days. So that's number 2. Number 3, insurance policy being canceled. I've had 2 canceled in the last 60 days. I only had 1 canceled the first 20 years. So this is a
Yeah.
California thing, right? This is
Yeah.
a
Yeah. Definitely
California
a
thing.
California thing. Yeah, for sure.
And you could bitch about it, you could whine, you could do this, you could do that. I called the insurance broker who I have at the hub and said, "Give me a new policy." And guess what? My policies, one went up 40%, one went up 50%. Guess what? The buildings that those insurance policies are on are up over 200%. So they should have been more expensive.
Yep.
And when you break down the insurance increase, so one went from 900 to 1,800. So that's a double. So that's an extra, I don't know, $70 a month, $80 a month, something like that. It's what are you going to do? Not insure your building? I mean, come on.
Yeah. No, you have to. Yeah.
What's the purpose? And then the last one, the one that probably would freak people out the most, is when a tenant who didn't pay rent for 9 months, who you spent about $1,500 getting evicted, then has the joy to kick you one more time and call code enforcement. Again, that happens to you, you could be freaking out. I'm like, good. I want code enforcement to go through the unit. I will
Absolutely.
hold my property manager accountable if there's anything wrong. I'm not a slumlord. I I love Section 8 inspections. I love code enforcement going through because I want to know when something's not right. And
Of course.
I haven't seen one of my units in 5 years.
It's crazy.
5 years. So yeah, I'm like, bring it on. And oh, by the way, anything that gets identified, we will fix immediately and go
Yep.
above and beyond. So again, just change the mindset. And again, I will look at it as an opportunity to, hey, property manager, see all that money I'm spending you? That should not happen, right?
Right.
Where's the failure to communicate?
Sure.
Um, so again, just you gotta, if you're gonna be in this game, all four of those things I talked about would freak out a new investor. I just
Yes.
want you to realize they're part of the game. They're
Yep.
part of the game. So what do you think of all that?
I totally agree. I did my live stream this last Sunday on saying I retired, and
Mhm.
the same week that I retired, I got sued twice and audited.
Oh, fun.
I'm like, what the hell? What? I mean, yes, I'm going to have more time. I thought anyway.
Yeah.
Um,
We'll
but
consume that right now.
yeah, and the funny thing is like to your point with the insurance, for 21 years I'd never been sued.
Hmm.
And I got my first lawsuit and we won. We crushed. In fact, they actually got a settlement against them
Oh,
that
there you
they
go.
have to pay.
Hmm.
And so I honestly, I expect that much the same will come of these, largely because I think they're frivolous. I think they're people grasping at straws. But does it still make your heart skip a beat? Does it still
Oh,
make your mind go, what the hell?
yeah.
Does it that still
Yeah,
happens?
sure.
And the thing is it's that it's, knowing that we've gotten through as much as we've gotten through to get to the point that we've gotten to today, where a $35,000 roof, no one loves writing that check, but the fact that
No.
you can is a completely different world.
Yeah,
The fact,
no, let's talk about it. Not only
yeah,
could I could write it from several different accounts. It's not a
sure,
brag, it's reality. But the important part is I have an account with at least 30 grand of it. It's been sitting there waiting for this because roofs
yeah,
go bad,
they do,
right?
they do. And that's where I think the, slow and steady, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. I like how I built my business slow. I like how we did it with the house hack. I like that we eventually got, we were doing the house hack and then also buying buildings that we weren't going to live in. Like, I like that I built my business slowly, conservatively. I didn't need the market to go up like it did the last 3 years. I didn't need the market to, the 5 year, from what was it, '08 to 2012, that 5 year period where all their stuff went down. That's why I laugh at these people that think that they're going to get anywhere with the appreciation story. If we ever get hit with anything like that ever again, you are screwed beyond belief and you will lose everything.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, if you're buying only for appreciation, you don't understand how businesses work. And so this is a business. So I look at that, Mike, and I just say, man alive, when one person out of five didn't pay, that would rock my world because that was all of my profit.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And now it's like, okay, so we've got a couple of people that are on the list of not paying that we're going to go through an eviction process with. Now we're getting sued by two people. Now we've got the audit that we have to spend time on and go through. At the end of the day, it was really funny. My wife, she sat down and she's like, hey, I have something I need to tell you about. And I was like, okay, what's up? And she goes, you're not going to like the news. I was like, okay, what's up? She goes, we got a letter from the IRS asking for more documentation. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, no big deal. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
let's get it for them. And then I sent it to my amazing EA and enrolled agent and CPA Bob Langworthy, his team, sent it
Langley.
to them. And he goes, I said, so is this just like a letter requesting more information or is this what is actually an audit? He goes, no, that's an audit. I go,
Yeah.
oh, okay. All right. I guess we're doing an audit. And so the cool thing is that in the beginning, right? Think of it in the first 5 years we were investing. If I had gotten a letter that was auditing the business, I would have been mortified. I would have been like, my life is over. The IRS is here to kill me.
Right. Yeah.
And now I look at it completely differently. I'm like, we enter it, we track all of our data, we put all of our data in, we have a CPA and analysts and an EA that then review it all. And then they put that final thing together, then we send it in, and then it's like, okay, well, it's now had 6 set of eyes to it. So we think we're in the right boat.
Yeah.
And so if they come back, right, and they go through that process and we provide them all the documentation, they come back and they go, hey, so here's an area that we still see an issue with. Okay, well, 6 people didn't see an issue with it, but you do. So now we still have to address something, right? So I always used to view audits differently, but now that I'm in one, I view it just a little bit differently, which is I know that we're clean. I know that we do it right. I know we track properly. I know we have the excellent people that look after that stuff, but it doesn't mean that out of the gate that everybody believes that you do it right, do it the right way, and are clean,
Yeah.
right? They still have to get that follow-up. They still have to get and say, because they didn't come back to us with a number. They just came back to us with, we need more information. So they didn't come back to us saying, hey, you owe all this money. They came back to us and said, hey, we just need more information on this stuff. So I
Yeah.
look at it and I just say, that's something that, again, first 5 years, Mike, I would have been
Oh yeah.
scared out of my mind. And now it's just kind of like, okay, well, I mean, we're not aggressive. We think we
Yeah.
do it all right, but if we have to change something, we have to change something. But
Yeah.
it's much more like then I think it would have been a death sentence. Now
Mm.
it feels like I got to take the time to go, fight
Yeah.
parking ticket or something, right? Just very different.
Yeah, it's funny. I've had two kind of they mail you a letter saying you owe a bunch of money because this or that wasn't
Mhm.
reported. Those were relatively easy to address. But when we started this, I think it was 2020. Um, I went through a full audit. An audit in 2020 was different because of the pandemic, right? So everything was over the phone and Zoom and all of that. But yeah, the audit took 15 months.
Yeah, crazy.
And it was just like you got. I got a letter kind of highlighting, I want to say it was four, it might have been 5 areas. And like you, I have a CPA. My CPA is actually a lawyer as well, so that turned out to be a big win for me. Um, and basically, what I had to do was get my CPA engaged. And once I did that, I don't know if you know this, but the IRS couldn't talk to me anymore. The IRS had, well, I guess maybe because my guy's an attorney and I was represented, I guess maybe that's why.
Okay.
So everything had to go that way once I got involved. So if you ever get audited by the IRS, realize that you could pay someone to uh, be that go-between. Because I think
Absolutely.
a lot of people get nervous, like they've got to do it. No, 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 no. I would highly recommend getting a professional involved.
Oh, well, that's the whole reason that we picked Bob. Bob's an
Exactly.
EA. He can
Exactly.
represent us. So
Exactly.
Bob is representing us. Now, for me, because I want us to learn about the process, right?
Mhm.
We are going to go through it with him,
Oh, of course.
with
Yeah. So you
him.
don't,
But
yeah, you want to know what not to do or
yeah, if for
document.
if for some reason there's something we need to do differently,
Yep.
cool. But the nice thing is I'm already paying for the experience.
Exactly.
So, but now I have somebody that actually understands everything. He's the one who filed or created the return and did the
Yeah.
return. So I'm actually, in all honesty, I'm completely broken. I'm kind
Yeah.
of looking forward to the process to understand,
Yeah.
okay, are we going to get the check mark where everything was perfect? Or are we
Yeah.
going to get something where they come back and they go, you need to
Yeah.
do this part differently?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
And
Now we
either
know.
answer is okay, right? But I think that
Exactly.
what I would tell you after having worked, having a deep audit is the IRS is, at least the auditor, at least I can only speak to the auditor I dealt with. So maybe this is, but I thought it was a very fair process. I
Yeah.
thought all the questions were reasonable. I thought the documentation we provided perhaps could have been better. Some of the paperwork or one of the light items was just a simple 10, what do they call it? 1099 was
10,
missing.
1098 or 1098s for a property, 1099s for an employee or for a
It,
contractor.
yeah, contractor income
Contractor.
was missing or not, or numbers were reversed or whatever. So that was pretty easy. But yeah, I thought the process was certainly stressful because you don't know the outcome, right?
Sure.
It was fair. It was the timelines they gave was fair, right? This again was in 2020, so it was even more probably delayed than normal.
Yeah.
I I think it's hard to call an audit enjoyable, but
Agree.
it wasn't the death sentence or prison either, right?
Yeah.
It was kind of like I guess I'd call it a dentist visit. It's like, you don't really like it, but you know
Yeah.
what? You can go have dinner after as well, right? So,
Yeah. Kind of, and go. And so where we kind of are in that process is when we actually get back from our trip is when we actually have the first meeting.
okay.
What was interesting was the things that they asked for. I see that we provided them, but we could have provided more, if
Yes,
that makes
that's
sense.
no, but exactly. We
Yeah,
we we provided probably the bare minimum,
yes.
but we could have done more.
Yeah, so that's what I took away from it was kind of like, well, you provided that. And then when I saw what we provided, then Bob was kind enough to remind me, he goes, the IRS doesn't get your depreciation schedule.
Right.
They don't actually get that schedule. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they just want to validate that
Yeah.
what shows up in the report that they got
Yeah.
is the actual depreciation schedule. So that was the other thing too, is though, Mike, I know that you and I are both cut from the same cloth, mine being quite a bit larger. But I know that we're conservative in how we do our taxes,
Oh
right?
yeah, I do not. Yeah. No, I
we
don't
we
play.
don't we don't
Don't
like
play.
poke the bear. We're not tempting fate. We're just like, listen, if it's a reasonable ask, then yes. If it's anything where it's like, if I have to do this at any point, it's like, no, we're not doing it.
No, we're not doing that. I don't
And
want that
so,
phone call. Yeah.
right. But honestly, that's what makes me feel so good about the
Mhm.
position that we're in, right? Is that you see some of those people that um there's a difference between risking everything and risking everything.
Yeah.
There's that risking everything where it's like, yeah, I'm putting all my eggs in this basket. I have to perform, I have to follow through. And then there is well, I stole my down payment. I
Yeah.
hawked my grandmother's jewelry to get to where I am. It's like when you look at all those things, right? There's a smarter, cleaner, better, faster way to get there. And that's where I really hope our businesses, I expect our businesses based on what we track and what we submit. So I
Yeah.
believe that, but I'm interested to see if it comes back. The other thing that, I said to my wife too, is I said, listen, if they come back and they say we owe $5,000 or 10,000, whatever it is. Okay.
Write the check.
Then we did something.
Yeah.
We didn't account for it properly. We write a check.
Yeah.
Like, that's all.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
So
Uh, I want to go back to something else you brought up earlier because it, there's a lot of get rich quick schemes.
yes, yes.
And real estate, because has money and other people's money and seller financing and sub two and all of these other things. There's so many stories about you can get rich in real estate with none of your own money.
Yep.
And you and I have done deals with none of our own money.
Sure.
It wasn't our first deals.
No,
And
no, no.
and we had money on the back to, just in case.
Yep.
Um, I have it makes my skin crawl when I go to these events and I hear people talk about building a real estate portfolio with no one.
Mhm.
And Airbnb arbitrage got my
Oh,
skin crawling, the last couple of years. I'm like, oh my God. Now, let's be clear. I think there's a play for Airbnb, short-term rentals. Um, I just hated the gurus
yeah.
basically telling you to lease properties, furnish properties, probably without telling the landlord, and then you're going to sublet it on Airbnb in a community. I'm like, oh, this is just a disaster waiting to happen. I hate stuff like that. Burr is another one, right? Burr worked great from 2010 to, I don't know, 19, 20.
Hmm.
And then it got really, really hard.
Yep.
And it's just getting rich. It's a process. I think you said earlier, what, smooth is fast or
Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Yep.
you gotta build your portfolio on purpose with intention.
Yeah.
And if that means you're like Dion and you want to, I love Dion's story. The more and more I hear it, I just love it. He decides to be a real estate investor, doesn't buy anything for 2 years because
Yeah.
he's doing the work behind the scenes.
Got to clean up the mess.
Yeah, it happens. It's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to buy something tomorrow. You could be a real estate investor and own zero. You're doing the work, you're pairing credit, paying down debt, learning a buy box, networking, changing your friends. Oh my God. If I were to change my friend, I'm
Yeah.
just thinking this
Yeah.
to the first point, change my friends.
Yeah.
I would have gone so much faster.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
I lived in I lived in an Excel spreadsheet for 5 years. What a
Yeah.
moron I was. I was,
I mean, you're an econ guy. What do you
yeah,
expect?
I'm an econ guy that, doesn't like people. So I lived in a
Yeah,
spreadsheet.
I understand. Yeah, I know. But that's the thing, you look at it and again, I mean, as we built our business, I realized that I was far too focused on the five closest people. I was fighting against them all the time. And they were my friends, but I was the punchline. I was the
Yeah.
punchline for a good decade. What's
Yeah.
really
And
funny
again,
is,
what people need to hear is you were the punchline, as was I, but also
sure.
we had bad stuff happen. So
Yeah,
we were already perhaps in a dark place. Then you get a friend or a family member to come over and kick you in the shins. That's exhausting.
yeah. My grandpa worked until he was 76 years old.
Mm,
And then he finally had to retire. He wasn't a millionaire. He retired at 76, not a millionaire. He
mhm.
died at 94, worth just over $1 million. The last 10 years of his life, he couldn't spend it anyway. And so it didn't really even matter. So what was nice was, big family and, disbursements and all that stuff was nice. But at the same time, too, I think he did it wrong. I think he
Yeah.
did it wrong. He was 70, worked until he was 76 years old. And then basically only at that point got to a point where he could then quote unquote retire. And then
Mhm.
he does retire, but he didn't retire to anything. He retired, unless you consider, making phone calls to the family and yelling at them are
Yeah.
retiring.
For some people, maybe.
But
But no,
yeah, but that's what he did. And so you look at it and you're like, then when he finally had money, he couldn't even spend it in a way that he could enjoy it. It didn't even matter. Didn't even matter. And so for me, that was one of the things where I was like, man, I don't want that life. I don't want to have to work until I'm 76 years old
yeah.
and hang on like he had to hang on and sell his business for a fraction. I mean, it was, some people are like, oh, he sold his business. Yeah, he sold his business for like less than 50 grand
Mm.
because because he never evolved. So many of his customers, guess what? They were dead or retired too.
No,
And
no.
so when you look at it, it's like, it made me at least think further on, like, when can I get enough? And enough is enough. There isn't enough number. When can I get enough? And enough for me was, I really want to love my job still. Okay. Well, I really like my job and I still like a lot of the people that I work with, but I don't love it anymore. And
Mm.
I really do love my kids and I really do want to spend more time with them. And I want to do more stuff with them. And so the question is, could I double again in the next 10 years or 5 years? 5 or 10 years, could I double again?
Sure.
Probably, but I don't think I
Yeah.
want to.
No, dude, I got to tell you, this a year ago, maybe 18 months ago, I was concerned that you were going to try to double again, right?
Nah.
You were still working, you had
Mhm.
this vision, property management company spinning up, you're going to do
Yep.
all these things. And I was like, holy shit, he's going to try to double this thing. I'm like, I know we can do it, but you're
At
not,
what cost?
yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
really?
Yep.
And one thing I got right again by luck is the last 5 years, I basically sat down
Yeah.
and I'm like, this
Agreed.
view is pretty freaking amazing. And even when you're
Yeah.
sitting down, you can have little deals come here and there, fine.
Yep.
Um, but yeah,
But you still look at your market every day. You
every
still
day in
look
the
at your
morning,
market every day. You still look at it because you will still find that great deal that comes across, right?
one a year. That's all I need, one a year, one a year.
Yep.
That's fine. Yeah.
We did 4 deals last year.
Hmm.
But what I find I'm doing is I'm doing weird deals.
Yeah.
So,
Well, deals
right?
that only you can do because
Yes.
you can put them together in different, and they probably have a lot like that what would you call it? Retail place you bought? I don't know what you
Yeah.
would call that.
Yep.
Mixed use, I guess.
Yep.
I'm like, those are the kind of deal because there's a lot of room, a lot of spread,
Yeah.
but it also is going to take a heavy lift. And that's the kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, I'll do that deal.
Well,
Right?
it's heavy lift, it's heavy relationship.
Yeah.
It's having great contractors. It's having, knowing what the plan can be, like literally when you walk it. I'm like, I know what
Mhm.
I can do with this.
Yeah.
So ironic. So I would say that what people will find later on in their career investing is that they will get a lot more home runs.
Yeah, but they'll also swing less.
Of
It's amazing.
course,
You'll swing less, but you'll have more home runs, if that makes any sense. I agree.
your odds of hitting a home run drastically improve every year that you're in the business and continuing to push and grow and learn.
Yeah.
It's like everyone's like, well, I wish any of my deals hit 20%. Well, maybe after you've been doing it for 10 years, maybe most of them will.
Yeah, you can pay the price too. It just doesn't happen, right?
Right.
I think that's, and this goes back to a Warren Buffett quote. Warren Buffett talked about baseball, but he's like, I don't have to swing. I can
Right.
look at unlimited pitches
Yep.
and wait for the one that I know I can hit a home run on.
That's
And
exactly
that's
right.
the one I'll swing. I'm like, that's genius. That's
Yep.
genius. So let's bring this home. Again, we open this concept with getting rich, or the process of getting rich sucks. Let's talk to those people, kind of closing thoughts in that first 5 year period, because that's where, again, I do think the process tries to knock you down. What's the lumberjacks word of encouragement for those people who are in the suck right now?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we see them. Your investment, the group that you have, one rental at a time, they're on Facebook. We see it, right? We see it
Yeah.
posted almost every week. And let me first say, bravo to the people that post.
Keep posting. You
Bravo
have
to
a
them.
community. Yes.
Yes, that is the mistake that Mike and I both made in our early journey.
Yeah.
We didn't have support of others. The only person that supported us was the person we were married to, and they kind of had to because they were
They
tied
were
to this.
financially committed.
They
Yes.
were tied. They were all in. They were,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So I think the thing that I would tell people is keep posting
Yeah.
your concerns. Let the community be there to give you input. Let them be there to give you perspective. Um, you and I never take, crap on somebody that posts like that
No,
because
of
we
course not.
remember
We've
it.
been there. Yeah.
We
Uh,
remember it. And
yeah.
we need
Yeah.
that there needs to be that community there of support because not everybody's stupid and broken like I am, where I need 5 people telling me I suck and I can't do it for me to go, ha ha.
I'll show
Um,
you.
you'll still have those people, but there are going to be those times of suck. And I think the big thing is look at it as an opportunity to improve. Number one,
Mhm.
and really looking at the process and saying, how could I have avoided this? Can I make this better? That's absolutely going to be how you do that. And quite
Mhm.
frankly, that's the reason both Mike and I did courses, is because we're
Yeah.
like, here's all the mistakes that we made. Here's all the things that we don't do now. And here's all the ways that we do them. And that's what makes it
Mhm.
better. So I would just tell people, be encouraged and post when you have questions. And
Yeah.
even when it's humbling, Mike, I get where they're coming from. It's humbling to have to post something where it's like, I just hear of nobody doing anything but being successful. And now I have to post a massive, colossal failure and I'm
Yeah.
struggling.
No. Yeah. Post in the community. That's why it's there. It's private. It's only students. I don't let anybody else in. It's students
Yep.
or speakers on the channel, and you'll get nothing but encouragement.
That's right.
We have all been there.
All.
It's the game of getting rich tries to kick you out. It does. Uh, Build a portfolio with intention, with the process. Don't go fast. Fast brings risk.
Yep.
The big thing is learn the lesson, right? Did you not get that appliance looked at? Did you do a band-aid versus replace? Did you miss an inspection, right? Learn the lesson. That's
Yep.
the big thing about the 5 years. If you change the mindset from, oh crap, that, I'm going to go broke, to what lesson can I learn? It's so freeing. And yes, plenty of lessons cost a lot of money. I get it. I've been there. I paid the price. But it does get better.
It
And
does.
it's
It
worth it.
does.
That's the other thing. It's worth
Guess who's got the best haha now?
it. Yeah.
You know,
Haha.
haha. Yeah, remember all those dumb events that I missed that no one can remember now? Remember all
Yeah.
those?
Yeah.
Remember all those? Not one person can. Well, remember yeah,
No.
yeah,
No. Yeah.
yeah. 46, retired. I hope the same for everybody, that they get to retire to something. And if you're starting later on in life, guess what? At least you're going to have a real retirement at 65.
gonna have options. Yeah.
Yeah, optionality is where it's at. You know, because again,
Yeah.
if you do the math real quick and you're 40 right now, or you're
Mhm.
45 right now, add 20 years onto that. That's basically where I am. That's basically where
Yep.
Mike is.
Yep.
Add 20 years onto that. And if you're even 40, 45, even 50,
Yeah.
because
All you need is four. Just
yeah,
four changes retirement.
it just changed. And that's the thing is, even at 50 years old, at 10 years in, right? At 10 years, it starts to get easier at 5, but at 10, it's quite a bit easier, right?
Oh yeah. Sure.
So even if you start at 50, at 60, you're still good and you can probably still retire early. Look at Dion. He's 10 years
Yeah.
in or 11.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think I just it's important. I don't think there's enough people talking about the suck
I agree.
and the pain and the costly lessons and the bruises and all the just it's part of the process, folks. If I can make it better for you, I would. But in reality, it's just part of it. You got, enjoy it. Enjoy that period, right? Enjoy the suck.
I think we've,
You
I think we've done all we could to pour ourselves into our courses to try and make it better for people.
we
That's the
try.
point.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the point.
Where can people find you? And we're gonna blow up Instagram over the weekend with people tagging us. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. But where can
It's
they
going to be
find you?
awesome. Yeah. So you can find me Lumberjack Landlord on YouTube and on Instagram. Now that I'm retired, when I get back, it's going to be a lot more posts with what we're doing in our projects because we'll be doing a lot of work there. But look forward to seeing everybody at the event. And if you're not there, well, there's always the next one. We're going to
There
have
you
to
go.
convince Mike to do another one
I-
at 100,000.
yeah, on that front, I actually my this is what a successful event will be for me. We're closing Sunday, right? The four of us are on stage.
Mhm.
I plan to now. Again, I could forget, but I plan to ask the audience, "Do you want to do this next year?"
Yeah. I'll
If the
remind you.
audience overwhelmingly says yes, I've already told Melinda that I want to book next President's Day weekend. So my intention is to do this once a year. I
Nice.
think once a year is doable for me. And hopefully the community supports it. But we'll find out. Maybe it'll be a colossal failure and we won't do it. We'll see.
I don't
take,
think so. I think we'll be
take care,
good.
brother.
Thank you, my friend.